A terrible story from the hotel. Hey there, folks. So, have you ever had one of those experiences that just sticks with you? Like, no matter how hard you try to shake it off, it lingers in the back of your mind? Well, grab some popcorn and get comfy, because today I'm going to share with you a story that still gives me the chills. Picture this: a dimly lit hallway in an old hotel, the kind where the lights flicker just enough to make you question if it's the electricity or your imagination. The carpet has that outdated floral pattern, and there's this faint sound, like distant whispers or maybe the wind. That's where my story begins. Have you ever stayed somewhere that made your skin crawl? Like, the vibes are just off? Well, that was me, and little did I know, I was in for one unforgettable night. So, let's rewind a bit. I was traveling for work. Nothing too glamorous, just another business trip to a city I'd never been to before. I'd booked this hotel because it was close to the conference center, and let's be real, it was within my budget. The hotel exterior wasn't terrible, but it had this old world charm that could either be cozy or creepy, depending on how you looked at it. The sign was a little crooked, and some of the letters were faded, but I brushed it off. Maybe it was just vintage. Walking into the lobby, I got this strange feeling. You know, that gut instinct that whispers, something's not right here. The check-in experience was, well, interesting. The front desk clerk was this elderly gentleman who spoke in a raspy voice. He didn't make eye contact, and when I handed over my ID, he stared at it a bit too long before finally giving me my room key. He mumbled something about the elevators being out of order and that I'd have to take the stairs to the fourth floor. Great! Dragging my suitcase up 4 flights of creaky, dimly lit stairs was not how I envisioned ending my day. When I finally reached my room, I noticed the door number was hanging upside down. Odd, but maybe maintenance missed it. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. First impressions? The room was not as advertised. The wallpaper was peeling in some spots, there were mysterious stains on the carpet, and the whole place had this lingering smell, like stale air mixed with something unpleasant. The lights flickered when I turned them on, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, but then the strange occurrences began. As I was unpacking, the room phone rang. I picked it up, but there was no one on the other end, just static. Weird. I assumed it was a glitch and hung up. A few minutes later, I heard faint tapping sounds coming from the walls. At first, I thought it might be the pipes or maybe someone in the next room. But when I pressed my ear against the wall, the tapping stopped. Okay, that was creepy. I decided to call the front desk to report the phone issue and the noises. The line rang endlessly, and no one picked up. Frustrated, I went downstairs to find the clerk, but the lobby was empty. Back in my room, things only got stranger. Around midnight, I was jolted awake by a loud thumping sound. It sounded like heavy footsteps running down the hall. I got up and peeked through the peephole, but the corridor was empty. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a shadow move past my door. Sleep was out of the question, so I decided to do a little exploring. Maybe I could find someone on staff or at least another guest. I stepped into the hallway, and the air felt colder. The lights flickered, and the silence was unnerving. As I walked down the corridor, I noticed some of the room doors were slightly ajar. Curiosity got the better of me, and I peeked into one of the rooms. It looked like it hadn't been used in years. Dust-covered furniture, cobwebs, and a cracked mirror hanging on the wall. What kind of hotel was this? Further down the hall, I bumped into a woman who looked just as unsettled as I felt. She whispered, "You should leave while you can." Before I could ask her anything, she hurried down the stairs and disappeared. Heading back to my room, the feeling of being watched intensified. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. Walking faster, I felt my heart pounding. Then, as I reached my door, someone grabbed my shoulder from behind. I spun around to see the elderly clerk, his eyes wide and unblinking. "You shouldn't be wandering around at night," he said in that raspy voice. I stammered out that I was looking for assistance, but he just shook his head and walked away without another word. Back in my room, I decided I had enough. I started packing my things, determined to check out immediately. That's when I noticed a newspaper clipping tucked under my suitcase. The headline read, "Local hotel site of unsolved disappearances." My hotel? This hotel? Panicking, I searched online and found articles about strange happenings, missing guests, and a history that was anything but pleasant. I knew I had to get out of there. Right now, grabbing my bags, I headed for the stairs. The hotel was eerily quiet, and as I reached the lobby, the lights went out completely. Using my phone's flashlight, I made my way to the front door, only to find it locked. "Are you kidding me?" I banged on the door, shouting for help. That's when I heard that raspy voice behind me. "Leaving so soon?" I didn't waste time responding. Spotting an emergency exit sign, I bolted in that direction. The door was heavy, but it budged, and I stumbled out into the cold night air. I didn't stop running until I reached a well-lit street with people and cars. Relief washed over me, but so did a lingering fear. I called a rideshare and waited under a streetlight, constantly glancing over my shoulder. The next day, I tried contacting the authorities to report the hotel. They took my statement but seemed skeptical. I also left a detailed review online, warning others about my experience. Oddly enough, when I checked back later, my review had been removed and the hotel's page was no longer active. To this day, I don't know what was real and what might have been my imagination. But one thing's for sure, I won't be staying in any charming vintage hotels anytime soon. So, what did I take away from this whole ordeal? First off, trust your gut. If a place gives you bad vibes, don't brush it off. Red flags are called that for a reason. Also, do thorough research before booking accommodations. Cross-reference reviews, check for any news articles, and maybe even do a quick search for any haunted histories. If you're into that sort of thing, of course. Travel safety should always be a priority over convenience or saving a few bucks. It's not worth risking your peace of mind, or potentially your safety. Have any of you ever had a creepy hotel experience? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments below, and let's swap some tales. Well, that's my story of the hotel that turned a simple business trip into a night straight out of a horror movie. Looking back, I'm just grateful I trusted my instincts and got out when I did.